60,000 soldiers. Now, there ain't but 20,000 police in the whole town. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
The warrior! He shot Cyrus! The warriors did it! The warriors did it! The warriors did it!
I'll shove that bat up your ass and turn you into a popsicle. Why'd you waste Cyrus?
No reason. I just like doing things like that. You're crazy. You're dead. No, it wasn't us. It was them. Warriors. Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play.
Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of the WayBack Movies Podcast, a show where we review the best and not so best of 80s and 90s cinema, because really, fuck the 2000s. My name is Steve, and with me on this crazy journey,
Justin.
Doctor.
Doctor.
And we're back to ignore what I said in the intro and go back to the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah, it happens. As we've always mentioned, if there's 5 weeks in the month, we go back to the 70s for one of those weeks, because why the hell not?
Well, I'll tell you why not. Because of reasons like this.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to cover movies like this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean...
This is actually one of the main reasons why I mentioned when we started this show, hey,
Yeah.
if there's a 5-month thing, maybe we can do a 70s movie.
Oh, it was for this movie specifically?
Almost exclusively on my part, yes.
Yeah, so this week we are covering the cult classic, because we can't seem to get out of those, The Warriors, which is a... I don't even know how to describe it, other than it's kind of like a road movie, but...
Well, it's a bottle movie in the sense of, like, I guess bottle's the wrong term.
Yeah, you can't really use bottle because it's a
what
city.
What would you call a movie that, like, where it takes place in one night? Like, do they have a title for those?
Yeah, there is a certain word for it, and my brain doesn't understand it right now. But yeah, there is a word for it.
It's one of those.
Yeah,
it's one of those
yeah.
that takes place in a span of a night.
Over the course of a night. And,
into an early morning.
Yeah, it's just one of those, it's a one-day situation. Oh, fuck, there's a term for it, and I wish I'd remembered, because now I'm going to sound like an asshole. But yeah, there's a word for it, but I don't remember. But yeah, that being said, got anything else?
No.
No? Alright. Well.
We never got anything for the beginning of these things.
Sometimes we do. I mean, it's never not a thing. I don't know.
Just like, hey, well, how you doing?
It's so fucking hot in here. I'm overheated. I'm not thinking clearly, so this is not going to work well for us.
It's great, because even when you're, like, level-headed and everything, it's still, like...
my brain doesn't, like, remember names and things like that ever, which doesn't work for my job
then when
either.
You put it on the burner...
Yeah, it's just... And now I'm literally working wounded at this point, so it's going to be very interesting, pretty much for the entire summer.
Fair warning.
Yeah, because...
It's going to be like this every week.
Yeah, heat is not my friend. I want the winter all day long, every day, and that's not where we live, and...
Ironically, it kind of is, but not for, like...
Yeah.
It's a bad 2 months.
Well, somebody always said, like, living in Toronto is the worst just because it's so fucking cold in the winter, and then in the summer, it's just unbelievable hell. It's literally, like... Indian summer for 2 months.
Yeah.
It's muggy as all hell. Like, today is one of the worst days for humidity, so... Yeah.
So bear with Steve.
Yeah, I'm not dealing with this well. I never do. So,
right.
But that being said, let's go into the WayBack Machine and go into 1979, where maybe things are a little fucking cooler. Okay, so here we are. It's February 9th, 1979.
Which, if you're good at the maths, you've pinpointed that this is the 40th anniversary of this movie.
'Tis. Which no one's talking about, which is
not true.
Really? Who's talking about that?
In this city.
Yeah?
In about, I'd say 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. They're actually going to have several screenings at the beginning of August.
Oh.
So
should look into going to one
we
of
should
those.
look into going to one of those.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Also, people aren't all like overly talking about it because again, this is a cult classic.
Yeah.
So,
But if you talk to most people, I think everyone likes this movie. I think.
they at least know something about it.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, it's Warriors come out to play. Yay. But that being said, so The Warriors, like I said, February 9th, 1979, directed by Walter Hill, with a screenplay by David Shaber and Walter Hill, based on a novel, The Warriors by Saul Urich, which I tried to find, could not. Produced by Lawrence Gordon, distributed by Paramount Pictures, box office of $22.5 million against a budget of $4 million. So, unlike most of the movies we talk about, this was profitable.
Yep.
The cast: Michael Beck as Swan, Deborah Van Valkenburg as Mercy, James Remar as Ajax, Brian Tyler as Snow, David Harris as Cochise, Tom McKittrick as Cowboy. I fucked up the name here, so we're just going to go with what I wrote. Deal with it. Marcelino is Rembrandt.
That's his last name.
Is it? Yeah. So there's a name that I'm missing here, which is weird because I copy and pasted this, so somebody fucked up somewhere. Terry Michos as Vermin, Dorsey Wright as Cleon, Roger Hill as Cyrus, David Patrick Kelly as Luther, Edward Sewer, I hope that's not how you pronounce it, but that's how it's written, as Masai, and Joel Weiss as Cropsey. So, production of this flick. So Saul Urich wrote the original book as a rebuttal to the romanticized view of street gangs presented in the movie West Side Story, based on his experience as a New York City welfare department worker, which is fair.
It wasn't all.
Wasn't all. You mean the gangs didn't get together and start snapping their fingers and dancing at each other?
You the hell you say?
Yeah, I mean, it still hasn't changed though, because we still do that occasionally. You'll occasionally, like, you get movies like Stomp the Yard where it's basically the same shit.
And there's gonna
And
be
you're
a
like,
rumble tonight.
Yeah, it's like we don't know. That doesn't work.
Like, no, it's just stab, stab, shoot, shoot.
Yeah.
There is no rumble. There is no snapping.
It's so weird. Producer Lawrence Gordon had discovered the book, which this film is based on, without a cover at a bookstore. After reading the description of the plot, he became very interested and bought the rights out of his own pocket. He then hired David Shaber to write it and approached Walter Hill to direct it after working with him on Hard Times and The Driver. Hill was very interested in the project, but felt that no studio would let them make the movie, so the pair decided to make a Western called Last Gun instead. However, financing fell through, and Gordon was able to get The Warriors funded by Paramount Pictures. Last Gun was never made. The scene in which Cyrus is killed during the mass gang meeting was loosely based on a real event in December 1971, in which a member of the Ghetto Brothers, named Black Benji, was shot and killed during a meeting in which he was trying to negotiate peace between several Bronx and Brooklyn gangs. He was known for his vastly different approach to gang violence, preferring to negotiate peace instead of declaring war on rival gangs. His murder did not incite retaliation, but only furthered peace talks between the offenders and other gangs. The peace talks unified rival gang members to the point that peaceful block parties were held to dissolve turf boundaries. The block parties were considered a pivotal movement in the evolution of hip-hop, ironically. I don't know. I'd never heard about it until I read that sentence, so news to me. Walter Hill originally wanted the Warriors to be an all-black and Hispanic gang to make it realistic. Producers disagreed. He also wanted a subtitle.
Because it was 1979, don't you know?
Yes. He also wanted a subtitle in the beginning which read "Sometime in the Future," but Paramount thought it sounded too much like Star Wars. That eventually did happen, but we'll get to that in a second. Robert De Niro was asked to be Cowboy, but he passed on it. Tony Danza was offered the lead part, but chose to film the television series Taxi instead. Probably a better move.
Now I could just try to, like...
It wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't. Tony Danza as Swan?
Yeah,
no.
it would not work. He's not a good enough actor. Plain and simple. He's good for what he does, but he doesn't have emotional range.
Well, neither did Michael Beck. But
better than Tony Danza.
I guess so.
Little bit. I mean,
a high bar to
smidge,
jump over.
A smidge. Michael Beck was discovered by Walter Hill when he was watching the movie Madman, which Beck co-starred in with Sigourney Weaver. Hill saw the film because he wanted to see her performance as she was being considered for the upcoming film Alien, which he produced, but was so impressed by Beck's work that he had him come in for an audition, which led to his being cast. And we all know how well Sigourney Weaver did for Alien.
What? What do you... No Michael Beck? Xanadu? No?
No.
No?
No.
Ever on this show, eh?
Never. God,
I
no,
will not,
never.
As long as I live, Xanadu will never be on this show.
I will fight that as long as I can. I mean, I know eventually we'll run out of ideas, but fuck, I will...
I just picture you battered, beaten, going, I don't know. Fucking fine, Xanadu.
I mean... Yeah, I mean, I'll get there eventually, but I'm not happy
Which
about
I'm
it.
pretty sure is how people watch that film now, going, we've run out of things to watch.
We'll watch Xanadu. God, I hate Xanadu. Why do we have to talk about that? Ugh. Let's get back to something that doesn't suck. Walter Hill and Larry Gordon saw David Patrick Kelly in a Broadway play called Working. Kelly performed a monologue as a hippie who espoused peace and love, but was actually extremely passive-aggressive, which is the exact opposite of what he plays in this movie, so I don't know how the hell they saw that.
He plays David Patrick Kelly in this movie.
He does, which I'm not arguing with. There's a rumor, according to executive producer Frank Marshall, that they originally hired a real gang member for the role of Cyrus, but could not find him on the day and never heard from him again. According to Michael Beck, however, Roger Hill was always supposed to play Cyrus, so the real story remains a mystery. There's a rumor that one of the gang members is actually played by Samuel L. Jackson.
That's an entire possibility.
Yep.
Those were all very real people. There's no CGI here.
Yeah.
All those people running in the park, those are all real people.
There's stories about that, so we'll get there.
So
bear with it here.
I'm pretty sure, sure.
We'll get there. Ajax was originally conceived as a tall, muscular, physically imposing figure. Character actor Irwin Keyes was strongly considered for the role. However, Walter Hill, deciding Keyes was too old for the role, opted to go with the smaller yet wiry James Remar. Remar got the role of Ajax after becoming so involved in the audition, reading the park bench scene, that he lifted the massive table around which the director and producers were seated. Pardon me. Newcomers were cast to create the feel of real people caught in a dangerous situation. The cast felt like they were a real gang before filming started. Remar even spent time on Coney Island so he could observe real individuals to base his portrayal of Ajax.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta go to Coney Island. Now it's bad. 70s is probably worse.
Well, I mean, it literally is in the movie where, Swan literally is just like, this is what we came back for, this is what we fought for, and it's like, oh, you hate where you fucking live too? Like, Jesus, you're having a really bad night, man. So here's where I'm talking about how
he talked to people too, right?
Yeah.
He told me, because I saw an interview. He's like, I was talking to, he was like because Coney Island has a fair, so he's playing a carnival game, and he was asking the guy what kind of people are from here. He's like, the worst kind. I'm like, okay, well, fair enough.
And I mean, I think that's probably where the comment came from Swan, but much like Boys in the Hood, we have a lot of real life stuff getting in here. So crew members were sent death threats because local gangs weren't cast. Thousands of dollars worth of equipment were damaged, and one gang tore through the set during a lunch break. The film trucks were, quote-unquote, protected by a real gang called the Mongrels for $500 a day after that. The Warriors sign painted on the bathhouse in one of the photos had painted over a real gang's tag.
Oops.
The gang didn't take too well to this, so the producers paid them to be in the film. In the conclave scene, they hired actual gang members as extras. The NYPD expressed reservations about this arrangement, fearing that close proximity of so many actual and competing gang members could lead to violence. They insisted on placing undercover officers throughout the crowd to handle any disturbances. So the scene features real gang members as well as real and unknown cops. So that, like you said, that 900 people that they brought there were real people. Some of them gang members, some of them regular people, some of them fucking cops. That was a mess.
Filmmaking in the 70s, yeah!
Yeah. So, the homicides were a real Coney Island gang, and they didn't approve of fictional gangs wearing colors on their turf.
I don't want to piss off a gang called the Homicides.
Yeah, really.
I'm sure they're just the cheeriest fellows.
Well, clearly they're called Homicides because they really liked that show Homicide: Life on the Streets, which wasn't going to air for another 20 years, but that's what it was, right? Guys?
Hello, Mr. Homicide, sir. Please don't kill us.
One crew once got urinated on from a tower block due to the noise they were creating at night.
I'd rather that been shot, I suppose.
Yeah.
Some type of shooting, I guess.
Yeah. When the turnbuckle